Hi, this is Lady Lex UK, and this is a Dreams Gadget tutorial. We're doing movers and outputs and text displayer. This has changed quite a bit since early access, so I'm redoing the entire tutorial. As you can see, the text displayer from early access has changed in size. So if I was to pop this... Sorry, I'm a bit croaky. If I was to pop this into a microchip, you'll immediately see it's no longer that huge size. They've kept the option, if I can find it, so you can have the old text gadget size. Why you would, I have no idea, but there you are. It's now now a small gadget, so that we can get more text gadgets in a microchip, and they don't get in the way. So that is the first thing. And that's fabulous. Right. Let's take our to get rid of our microchip. We don't need that. So here is our text displayer. This gadget is going to be used a lot. It's a nice, simple gadget. It's a way of getting text on your screen. It's also a way of getting some symbols on your screen. Now, there are two ways of putting symbols into Dreams. You can use the icons that they provided, which have angle brackets. So if I did this, for example, I get this symbol, the circle button symbol. So that's the set that Media Molecule have made for us. And you can also use the standard emoji codes, short codes, like that. Now, my website, dreamschool.co.uk, I have a link to both of those sets of icons and all the codes that you need. So just type emoji into the search on my website and find the page, and there is the link. So that's cool. You can't change the colours of the coloured emojis. Let's go back to the circle, but you can change the colour on the Media Molecule provide symbols. So they are slightly different. One's a fixed thing in colour, and the other one you can change. So there we are. So it's text or symbols or emojis is what you can put in here. Let's go back to the text, shall we? Here is some text. Whoops. There we go. That's a really nice thing that it remembers what you've typed in before, so you don't have to keep retyping. Makes it nice and quick. Okay, so here we have text colour. This is a colour wheel. You can change the colour of the text. It has an input and an output socket. Now, this can be quite useful if you wanted to have lots of text displayers with different text in, and you want them all to have the same colour. Let's say you've imagined you'd gone around the wheel like this, and you'd picked a strange colour like this mauve here, somewhere randomly in there, and you wanted all the text to be this colour. Then you've got another text displayer here. You could copy your text displayer, so the original one, but if you'd created a brand new text displayer, you had an old one in there, and you wanted this to be the same colour, you just take the wire from the output socket of this one into the input socket of that one, and now they're both the same colour. So that's a way of making sure things are the same colour, and this colour can also be used to colour other things. So if I stamp myself a cube, and did that. Put the tint amount up. There you go. That's made that purple. It's a bit hard to know which how much tint to show, but there you go. We've got the mauve text now with the mauve box. So you can use this to get the same colours. I think that's probably more like that, is it? That looks more like the colour. There we are. It doesn't, because this is just a solid colour and this uses a tint amount. You're not going to necessarily get the right number in there, but there we go. So if we change this now, there we go. Start changing that block as well as my text box. Like that. So you can get all sorts of interesting effects. Right. Let's just delete that. We don't want that. Right. And let's go back to black, shall we? Having said that, text brightness, this changes the brightness of the text. If you have black text, the brightness is not affecting it at all. Black is black. You can't brighten up black. So it's only a colour that it will affect, and then it will make it bright until it gets to white. So it'll brighten it up until it gets very, very white. And some of them, no, that's a cardinal red, so it stays red. So there we are. The text opacity, this is how transparent it is. And then here's a slider for the font. I suggest you move up with the D-pad rather than use the slider to go through all the fonts selections. There's plenty to choose from. I think there's more, now than there was before. There appears to be a lot more text options. A lot of them are very similar to each other. But there we go. I think we've gone through all of them. Right, there is no option, sadly, to bold or italicize text within a text box. So I can't select or underline or anything like that. There is no options for any of that, which is a shame, but this is the limitations of this particular gadget. Right, next box. This is the text box properties. So as you can see, these text boxes have these texts come default with a background box. You can get rid of it like that, and you can change the colour of the box itself, like so. And you can also add a tail, so you can make this into a speech bubble. Different options there. And you can up the brightness of the colour of the box, and you can change the opacity, the transparency of the box. You can also change the curviness, so it's if you over to the left, it's completely sharped square rectangular shape, and over to the right it's rounded lozenge, and there's everything in between. Circular curviness, if I put that back over to 100, you can see that can change that shape and the amount of curve there is on it. And if I switch off auto fit, I can change the size of the box. You can make full circles like so, or you can have curves, oblongs, that sort of thing. But just doing this, you get a nice circle like that, so you can change it. We've got some extra buttons. We've got taper now. It's a bit hard to see on that shape. Hang on then. There we go. The taper in different directions, that stretches it like that, so you get some interesting angles. Let's just, there we go, like that. So you can make it look like you've got some perspective. Then we've got wonkiness, which actually what it appears to do is put a copy of your box underneath at a slight angle, so you get this nice 50s look to it. This is good for UI stuff. So there's your wonkiness thing. And then you've got padding, which adds a little bit of padding with the box, so it can be slightly bigger. But there is another way of making the box larger or smaller. You just drag it out with the gizmo handles. There are different gizmo handles at different sizes, so you might have to shrink it small in order to make it big. It's a bit of a weird one. You have to just play about with this. Other thing to note, if you put padding on, you lose the gizmo handles, which makes it you can't see the gizmo handles anymore. You can still make the boxes larger and smaller if you can get the right area, but you can't actually see the handles anymore, which is a little awkward. And now I'm grabbing the wrong thing, grabbing the floor, which is not what I want. So we'll just go backwards. We'll get back to a normal sized box. There we go. So that's the padding. Auto fit, as you saw before, it's if you turn it off, you have more control over the size of the box. If you turn it on, you can only increase the size of the text and the box by going up and down on the D-pad. And you can do this with the text. You can stretch it out like this, so you can have it going down like this. Like I said, it's very difficult to grab hold some of these gizmos once you've got them in their smallest state, so you might want to be careful with that. But with auto fit off, you can shrink the size of the box. If you want really small text in a bigger box, you make the text the size that you want, and then you can make the box bigger. And then there we go, so we've got a big box, small text. So you just need to fiddle about with it, stretch it and move it around. Experiment with the text box, because there's lots of things you can do to make this how you want it. Texture properties, this is new. This allows you to add a texture to the box itself. So we've got painterly, which is this effect, and you've got different shapes that will apply a fleck to your background. And you've got standard. This is what we had before, so you can put a texture just on the edge. And if I use the fade amount, that can affect the size of the solid colour in there. So you've got more texture around the outside. And you can up the texture strength like this. And the scale can be altered, so you get different effects. It's worth playing about with to see what you like. There's a fade amount, so it can be quite sort of faint and transparent in the background there. So it's the same with the painterly look. We've upped the texture strength and the scale. We can change the scale. So you can create animated effects. Let's create a quick psychedelic animated effect with that. Let's just stick an action recorder down. Go. There we go. So now we've animated our text box. So a little bit of experiment. You could probably create some sort of glittery thing. That might be nice. There's ways of animating. You could use keyframes to animate as well. Lots of things you can do. Really quite amazing. Painterly fade. I'm not sure about this particular slider. What it does is it sort of elongates at the edges and sort of cuts it about. It's not a great effect, I must say. But maybe on certain effects it's more effective than others. But personally, I'm not really sure whether I would ever use that. It's a bit of a weird one, that one. Right, border properties then. Let's go back to just an ordinary text and an ordinary box. Let's turn the wonkiness off and the taper off. So we just got a box. Right, there we go. Border properties. You can turn the border on or off. You can change the colour of the border. You can change the brightness of the border. Again, with black, it doesn't work. You need a colour. And border opacity, so that's the transparency of it, and border width. This is the widest it'll go, which isn't particularly wide, I will grant you, but if you shrink your text down and fiddle about with it a bit, this is what you get, but this is the thickness that you can have. Now, it used to be that the shadow properties were on this page, but they've moved it, so now the shadow properties are on its separate page. And as you can see, we have a shadow, and you can turn that on and off. If I turn the border off, you can see it more clearly there. There's the shadow. And you can change the softness of that shadow so that it appears to be further away. You can make it quite dark, and you can change the angle so you can have it reflecting wherever your sun is. You can move that shadow around like so. There we are. So you can get different effects going on with the shadow. Right, alignment then. Okay, so the first two sections is the alignment of the text within the box. Now, for some reason, it not just moves the text within the box, it also moves the box. So at the moment, our text is centrally aligned. So if we make it left aligned, it's moved our box. So you will have to move your box back. But now you can see the text is left aligned. And if I move to the right, there we go, it's moved it to the right, but you'll have to move the box back to where it was, and there you have the text aligned to the right. I don't know why I've done it so that the box moves. It's a little annoying, I will say, but that is the way of it. And we've got the same with the vertical alignment, so it can align bottom. It doesn't align very well with the bottom of the box, I must say, or the top, come to that. There seems to be a big gap, which is a little annoying. Let's see, is there padding on here? There's no padding on here, so that isn't the cause. So the vertical alignment of the box of the text isn't that great. I mean, it will depend on the size of the box, obviously. So you can see it more clearly there, but if it's a very small box, you're not going to really see that it's vertically aligned. It'll depend on the size of the box. But there you go, there's the vertical alignment. Let's stick it in the middle. This is the alignment on the screen. So at the moment it's custom, so I can pick it up with R2 and drag it around and place it wherever I want to. However, if I stick left alignment on here, that means I can't move this other than up and down, and that is stuck to the left position of the screen. Now, I've got a widescreen television, and there's quite a big gap here between what is determined to be the left-hand side of the screen and what is actually the left-hand side of my screen. But this is the safe space for other monitors. So it's a good idea not to put things this far over that other monitors are not going to be able to see. That's something to bear in mind when you're making your UI. Maybe stick with what this is telling you. Right alignment, there's the same. So we've got a smaller space. Vertical alignment, there we go. There's the top of the screen. So you can see the actual screen space is a lot smaller than your actual screen. And so I'm at the bottom, so I can't move anywhere at all because I've aligned it to the right and the bottom, so that's now fixed there. So you can go back to custom. So there we go. I can move it along horizontally, but I can't move it vertically at all. So you can get it. So center and center, that's the exact center of the screen. That's quite handy for knowing. And you can just fix these things around the screen. But if you want to just have free reign and place it whenever you want, just make sure these two are both lit. Right, text display settings then. We've already seen this big gadget option. Why anybody would turn that on is beyond me, but there you go. Right, here is in scene. This is fantastic. This places your text box actually as a physical object in the scene. There it is. It is now in the scene, and I can place that wherever I want to. There are settings in here that affect how this looks. So we have face camera. This means it doesn't matter where I go. You'll notice as I move around, that text is always facing me because it's facing the camera. If I turn it off, I can go around the text and you'll get the text backwards as you go round it. And obviously it will look different as you go underneath it. And there we are. Always on top means that this this is always going to show up above bars and things like that, texts, objects and things in the world. So let me just put some things down. So let's just put some random boxes in. There we go. Here's our text box. And it doesn't matter where I put it in the world. I can still read it, you see. It is placed there, but I can still read it. If I go back to here and turn that off, now it's hidden within the boxes. Put it in the middle of the boxes there like that. There we go. The boxes are in front of it. So that changes it, so it makes it so that you can see it. Doesn't matter where you are. So this is rather good if you want to use the text. You've got the text box using as some sort of enemy marker. So you can have the enemy marker, either you can only see it if there's line of sight, like that. So you'll only see the marker, or you could have it like that, so you can see the marker through buildings and things like that. So it depends on what type of marker you've got on your enemy, for example. That's the sort of thing that's good for. Let's just turn that off. Sort order. If you've got text on the screen but not in scene, this is not for in scene things. This is for on the screen. If you've got a lot of text boxes, you want to layer them up. This chooses the order. So 88 will be more in front of 34, which is more in front of 0, which is more behind 1. So if I was to create some more text boxes, let's just close these down. Right, how many text boxes have we got? We've got this one and this one. Let's create 4 text boxes. So this one then I'm going to have as 1, and this one here I'm going to make as 12. So now it will say test. Haha. Let's put random words in. Okay, so let's get rid of that one. So we got, here is some text, test and hover. So here is some text, If I put test in front of it, that goes in front of it. If I put hover in front of it, that goes between that and that. So let's have a look and see what the numbers are. So test is number 12. Hover, what's this one? This one's hover. Yeah, this one, hover, is number 1. And this one here is also number 1. Now, the reason that this one is in front of this one is because we put this one down afterwards, so that the newest text box with the same number will be in front of. So bear that in mind. If I change the order to 0, actually let's just do it. 0 on that one. There we go. It will go underneath. There we are. So this is how you layer up your UI to make some interesting shapes and things. That's how you do it. So you can have text on top of each other, boxes, etc., and create your whole look like that. Now the other, let's just get rid of. Oh, got rid of the wrong one. There we go. That one. The other thing in here on this page is this toggle. This allows rotation, like so. So you can have it at a jaunty angle. This is particularly applicable when you put it in scene, because it'll just be upright and you can place it wherever you want in the world. But like that, if you allow rotation on, then you can get it at the right angle to place it on a box or something like that, so that it matches. So you can change the angle, you can move it around, use the rotation of the D-pad. There we go. So you can get it close to and stick it on. So you can make stickers and graffiti and labels and all sorts. It's a little fiddly to get it in the right position, but there we go. There we are. I've got a label on that box now. And as I go around the box, you can see it's stuck to the box like that. There we are. So I've turned that off, and it's just straight on. Animation speed. Let's put our text back on screen. A bit nice and big so we can see it. This is the typing speed of the text. So let's rewind. Okay, go. That's a speed of 4. And it will type away like that. So you can have the text, go again, there we go, coming in slowly, and that's the speed of the animation. That is the only animated option you have on the text. If you want to do something different, I've done a video on animating text, how applicable it is now that now that they've changed the text display. I'm not sure, but you can animate text by literally moving it around. As you saw with the action recorder, you can pick text boxes up and jiggle them about, so you can animate your text that way. You can also animate your text, you can do this sort of thing to animate your text. You can make it bigger and smaller and fiddle about with it. It's pretty much the same. So watch that that tutorial if you're interested in animating text. Here is the outputs for the text display. So you have start text. Now this is interesting. I hardly ever use this. This is the input socket that the text gadget has out. So if I was to put the text gadget down, there it is. That's the input. That's the little knobble on the end there that you can wire directly into. I never use it. I have found there was some issues with it early on, so I never use it. I always wire into the power of a text gadget. So you could wire into start text. Let's see what it says in the description. Send a signal to this input to start the text. So if you had animated text, I suppose it could show the text. Let's try that actually. So we'll put some animation in that we can see. Yeah, there's an animation of 2. And then we'll wire a controller triangle to start text. Okay, hang on. We wired it to start text, we definitely did. Right. And it's still doing it. So that did not work. So, but if I wired it to power and press triangle, hold it down, it will start the text as I do it. So yeah, I've never really understood the start text thing, so I don't ever use it. It's just one of those things that I just don't fiddle with. Text active. This sends a signal to say that there is active text. So the text on screen, it's actually sending. It just sends a signal to say, yep, text is up. This one is a quick pulse to say that the text animation has finished. This one to say the text animating is going on. So this is sending a signal to say I'm animating. And this is a signal with a percentage of how much the progress of that animation is. So it will send out a percentage number. So this is quite handy, this one, for adding sound effects to. So if you wanted like a typewriter noise, you can link that to your sound effects, so that will play when the text is actual animating. Or you can have a sort of whooshy noise or something that will play while that's animating just by wiring it from there. So that's all that page does. There we go. There's the text displayer with all the new fancy gadgets and all the new stuff in it. I hope that was useful for you. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in your dreams.